Okay. So, basically, not too long ago, Felix and myself developed a Survivor card game. We came up with the rules, we did the designs online, and then we just got it printed. And I'm going to show you how to play it. Basically, we didn't want it to be like a crappy old card game. We wanted to make it so it was a game that we could play that would be essentially like playing the game of Survivor, which is a very difficult thing to do with only 2 people. Oh, I'm out of breath. But we did it. Okay. Dice. 3. Big cards. Little cards. 2 to 4 players. Actually, 2 to 5 players is possible, but not recommended. And a spoonful of love. Now, the small cards are voting cards, so they are numbers, but they can also contain advantages, hidden immunity idols, etc., etc., all very fun. The big boys, these are the player cards, so you have all your favorites. So there are 4 different types of cards in the little card deck. And the first is hidden immunity idols. They say hidden immunity idol on it, so it's pretty obvious. Next is voting. It goes from 1 to 5, and then in the deck there is 1 0 and 1 6. You have individual immunity necklaces. They all look like this, pretty simple, and you have advantages of a range of different kinds. Things like steal a vote, remove an idol, remove a necklace, extra vote, and the super idol. This is the most valuable card in the entire deck. There are many different players, each given a star, 1, 2, or 3, based on their challenge ability. So Billy Garcia, I'm so sorry, but you're only a 1 star. And on the back of these cards, you have 4 different patterns. Now, depending on the amount of players, these are the amount of patterns you should use on the back. This will basically distinguish who's on your tribe if you wish to shuffle it up for a tribe swap. So, the ultimate goal in the end of the game is to wipe out the entire other tribe, or if you're playing with multiple, all the other tribes except for yours. The setup can be based on any Survivor season ever. So if we want to do a really basic one, let's say Heroes vs Villains, one player would have 10 cards, which is their tribe of 10. The other player would have 10 cards, which is their tribe of 10. Actually, let's say we're doing game changes, because that's better. It's got tribe swaps and stuff. So since it's got tribe swaps, you want to note the pattern on the back of the cards, because then if you shuffle up the cards in the tribe swap, you'll be able to distinguish your tribe, if you've got a bad memory like me. So you've got your 2 tribes of 10, and then all these big cards you don't need for the rest of the game. So now all you need are the little cards. Player 1 has all their cards face up, facing the other player. The strength of your tribe is dependent on the amount of stars in total you have. The more stars, the better. Once you have your tribes, each player are dealt 10 voting cards, and they must have 10 voting cards at all times. The players do not show each other the voting cards, that is private, and they keep it to themselves. So, a round starts just like a round of Survivor would start, an immunity challenge. And this is where the dice comes in. So your goal is to roll the most 6s. If you roll more 6s than the other players, then you win immunity. Whoever has the least 6s goes to tribal council. And you roll the dice based on the amount of stars you have. So Tony has 2 stars. Suri has 1. JT has 2. Andrea has 3. And you count the amount of 6s you get. Malcolm has 2 6s. Rob, Chicken, Russell, that's an extra 2. And Kathy. So this tribe is on 4 6s. Now this tribe needs to beat that if they want to survive. This one's on 5 6s, so this tribe will be going to tribal council. Now, tribal council works in 3 steps. Step 1 is allocating immunity necklaces. The vulnerable player looks in their cards and they have the choice to put immunity necklaces on the player of their choice. Now let's say I want to keep my strong players, which are my 3 stars, like Malcolm and Andrea. So I could put a necklace there and I could put a necklace there, or I could choose to save them for later. This player would probably not want to put an immunity necklace on my players. Right now, since I'm going to tribal council, they are entirely safe. Step 2 of the voting process are placing the votes. So because I'm going to tribal council, I can put votes first. Voting cards are just the numbers. 1 to 5, and there's 1 0 in the game, and there's 1 6 in the game. To vote, you place 3 of these face down on top of the players of your choice, unless they have the necklace on top of them. So because this is my tribe, it is best for me to want to vote out my weaker players, because no matter what, one of these people are going to be eliminated. So if it was to be anyone, I'd want to get rid of a 1 star. I put my 5 on Chicken. Actually, no, I love Chicken. I put my 5 on Sari. She's a 1 star. I'll put a 2 on Chicken and a 1 on Rob. Now, you cannot put multiple cards on top of your own. Each of your 3 cards on different players. However, your opponent can put cards on top of your cards, but not on top of their own. They do not know what you've put on, but it's their turn to vote. So let's say this player, who's got not very good numbers, wants to vote out your 3 star. He'll put a 4 on Andrea, a 4 on Kathy, just in case you were to play an idol on Andrea, and then maybe just a 1 on Tony. The third step in the process of this game is idols. If anyone wants to play Hidden Immunity Idol,
now would be the time to do so.
This player looks, they got no idols. Now, for the sake of the rules, let's say they did have an idol.
Yeah, just.
Bing! They go, BAM! I have an idol, and they place it on the player of their choice. So they want to save Andrea, they put their idol there. Any votes for Andrea will not count. And now, they read the votes. They flip it over 1 by 1. Tony has 1 vote. Sari has 5 votes. Rob Sesternino has 1. Chicken has 2. Kathy has 4. And the idol was incorrectly played for Andrea, who only had 4. Which means Sari, having 5, the highest, is the first person voted out of Survivor card game. And you just put her to the side, which is a success for this player because she's only a 1 star. Now that's the end of a round, so you pack up your cards, your small cards, you shuffle them back into the deck, and you re-deal out cards until each player have 10 once again. So when starting round 2, you go back to an immunity challenge. Except just like the actual game of Survivor, because these guys only have 9 on their tribe, this tribe must sit out 1 person, and that is up to the choice of the opponent. However, you cannot sit out the same person 2 rounds in a row, which is the same rules as the actual game. So round 2 is complete, Colby was voted out, and let's say the players have decided before the game started that they want to do a tribe swap. How a tribe swap works is literally shuffling the cards. You remember your patterns. You've got patterns on the back of the cards. So let's say we've decided that we want to go like game changers and go into 3 tribes of 6. Shuffle it up and do this. And now you have your new tribes. Take note of the pattern on the back so you can sort them out, where the opponent will be facing their opponent. So like that. So here you have 3 new tribes of 6. 1, 2, 3. And you can tell by the way they're facing that this tribe only has 1 from that opponent's original tribe, and this player has 5 from their original tribe. And remember, the goal is to vote out all of the other players' cards. Immunity challenges work as normal. It doesn't matter who rolls for who. They just each go through, and whichever tribe gets the most total 6s wins. Step 1 in the voting process are necklaces. This player will put a necklace on Tom. Then we do voting. 5 on Amber, 3 on Crystal, 1 on Kat, 4 on Russell, 3 on Rob, and because this player isn't allowed to put an extra 1 on them because he's already placed it on them, he must put it on one of his own players. So he'll just put a 1 on one of his 1 stars. Now, this is the point where you're allowed to play idols, but this is also when you can play advantages. If this player chooses to put an extra vote, that means it'll add 1 point to one of these people's scores. Similar to steal a vote, if you place it on, it retracts the total by 1 number. That does not mean you can move a card, it just retracts the entire total by 1 number. Most advantages are pretty self-explanatory. However, one of the few that you can play before this period in the round is the remove a necklace. You can play this as soon as someone places a necklace down, and then you can take it off. Remove an idol. If someone plays an idol, they can immediately use that remove an idol and just take it off like that. So let's read the votes. So 3 for Rob. This has steal a vote, so the 4 becomes 3 for Russell. This has an extra vote, so the 5 becomes 6 for Amber, 3 for Crystal, and 2 in total for Kat, which means Amber with 6 votes will be eliminated. But wait! I have a super idol! Since he has a super idol, this is the only idol you can play after the votes are read. It works like a super idol in the actual show. So this player can play the super idol on those 6 votes for Amber, which means the person with the next highest number of votes is eliminated. And that brings us to a... Got 1 player with 3 votes, 1 player with 3 votes, and 1 player with 3 since the stealer vote was used. A tie works like a tie would work in the actual game of Survivor. You re-vote, but you can only vote for the players within the tie. However, you do not use 3 votes this time, you only use 1 vote on these players. This player wants to put a 5 on Crystal. This player wants to put the highest card, which is only a 2, on Russell. You cannot play an idol on a revote, which means Crystal would be out with 5. However, if it is a tie once again, for rule's sake, let's say this player didn't put a 5 on Crystal, let's say they put a 2 on Crystal. So they reveal and they tie once again. In the actual game of Survivor, it will go to a rock draw between all the other players in the game if they're not immune. It would become a rock draw between Rob, Kat, and Amber. That's essentially how we do it in this game as well. So instead of drawing rocks, we allocate them numbers on a dice. So Amber is 1 and 2, Kat is 3 and 4, Rob is 5 and 6, and you roll it. 2, so Amber is out. So merge arrives at whatever number of players left in the game you have decided beforehand. So in this particular round, we've decided that a merge will be at 10 players. So we have 10 players left, and we place them all together as one tribe, taking note of the different patterns so we know whose players are whose. So merge works essentially the same, except since there's no tribes, the immunity challenges are quite different. So how the individual immunity challenges work is once again, each player rolls for their entire tribe. This player got a total of 3 6s for their players, this player got a total of 1 6 for their tribe, which means this player now has the choice to place the ultimate individual immunity necklace on whoever they want. This means you cannot use the remove a necklace advantage on them. If they go to rocks, they'll be immune. No matter what happens, this person is always immune. And to indicate that, you just put a dice on top of them. You can't vote for them, nothing happens to them, they will always be here next round. So let's say we're at this point in the game and there's 6 players left, only 1 on this player's tribe and 5 on this player's tribe. If this player manages to vote Malcolm out next round, they win the game. However, if we get to a point in the game where, for example, there's 3 players left, and let's say Malcolm wins immunity, what would happen is they would continue, they'd put 3 votes. Because there's only 2 options, they're allowed to overlap on 1. They can't put 3 on the same person, they have to do 2 and 1, and then 1 player will be eliminated. And you're in this interesting situation where each player has only 1 card left, and if they were to put immunity, then someone would be voted out, and that's no fun. So if you get to this point, you do something called a... Basically how that works is, it is the total number of vote cards, all added together. So 4 plus 3 plus 5, and then advantages, necklaces, and idols all count as 1 point. And you add that to the amount of stars on your player. And then whoever has the most total numbers wins the game.